How do I make this fucking thing full screen? F12?
I Up to you, brother.
Oh, no, it ain't that. There we go. Okay. All right, ready? What is up, Rubber Duckies fans? Welcome back to the Duck Pond. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Peter Buffon. My name's Seamus Andrew. Peter, it's been a while.
It has been a while. I mean, having you back from the dead here. Keep it rolling back to the old crew. I was getting kind of sick of it. So, get back.
Yeah, well, he blows you off like 15 times.
It was
I
just
get sick
today.
of him too. It's like 15 times. One, I mean, neither of us were ever good at math. We were both good at history. 1, 15, same thing, right?
Oh, it's always just
Anything
oh,
over zero is undefined. So,
it's too much. Anything over zero is too much. I mean, we're supposed to be on a team here. Supposed to be showing up on time. That means making your podcast appearances. But you know, apparently, time. We both know time is not one of OB's strong suits. So.
no, it's not. But a lot's gone on since our last episode. I think our last episode was in April, if I'm
The last one with you, yeah, was in April.
April. It's been a while.
It has been. I mean, Sabres missed the playoffs again because, shocker. Um, Absolutely zero moves in the offseason. And now,
Hmm.
come around why we're back with this episode today. Kevin Adams is finally out.
Yeah, which is a crazy, crazy, crazy thunk to think, It's
I
you would have seen it coming in the summer, right? Because they made this move to hire him, right?
I
They
mean, I
hired
think
Jarmo.
I mean, yeah, obviously Jarmo Kekäläinen took over as GM. So fun fact before we get into everything, he is the first Sabres GM that was hired with prior GM experience since Scotty Bowman.
And we all know Scotty
Yeah,
Bowman's
that's
resume.
yeah, exactly. So, but that's just a wild pick there. Was that almost probably 35 years without a experienced GM hire? But
Yeah, and you saw it this summer with hiring Yarmo as an executive within a team. You would think Kevin Adams got to be sweating himself a little bit, right? You're like, okay, they hired this guy who did very successful things in Columbus, made Columbus relevant,
it
right?
was their best. It was their best like 3 4 year stretch they had in
Right,
10 15 years at that point. I mean,
right.
he is solely responsible for getting names like Adam Fantilli and Patrick Laine onto that Blue Jackets roster.
Seth Jones.
Seth Jones, Elvis Merzlikins. I'm terrible at Latvian names. My bad. Elvis
Panarin.
Merzlikins. Uh, yeah, I mean, he single-handedly upgraded that Blue Jackets roster and was probably the main. He was the main architect of those playoff runs in the late 2010s for them, and
Right.
even into
Yeah,
the
and then
COVID season.
and architecting a team that swept the Tampa Bay Lightning and ultimately got demolished by your boys, Boston Bruins. But I think it's good for the Sabres, right? Like it's good for something that you want to build towards the future. You can't go any lower than what you are. I mean, you're compared to the Jets. Who
Right?
the hell wants to be
It's
compared to
bad.
the Jets?
It just let's be thankful for the Jets. I mean, let alone being Bills fans on this podcast. Thank you for the Jets for at least make make us think we only got to jump 3 teams in the division. Not that Miami's doing much in the first place, but that the Jets suck so much they still have the longest running playoff drought in North American sports. So thank you, New York Jets. Thank you. Probably the only time I'll ever say that. But no, you don't
Round of
want to
applause
be.
for the New York Jets.
It's just surprised me that the Sabres weren't the victims of a butt fumble. I mean, obviously everyone knows Mark Sanchez's butt fumble over there. I was actually at the game in Buffalo with the butt goal. Mike Smith puck gets shot, flexes it straight up, goes over his back, right down into his pants, slides back into the goal. boom, overtime winner for the Sabres. One of the
I,
best of their 15 wins they had that year,
I
2012, I want to say it was.
I think that the Sabres had their fair share of butt fumbles within the hockey terms. We drafted Owen Power. That's a butt fumble.
I mean, to look at the GM hires.
We look at the GM hires. You look at most of the coaching hires, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are
Uh,
good coaches, just in the wrong time. But the thing that's crazy is that Kevin Adams is probably going to go on to be a general manager of another team and win a cup.
I don't think it's going to be a while. It's not going to be like someone like Jason Botterill who gets fired and then immediately is hired as an assistant GM and it's um again now headlining the front office in Seattle. Obviously not as a general manager, but as a high person in that organization over there. It's going to be a little bit because you got to remember this is his first actual NHL experience. Period. He had no other management experience. The only
Other
other
than a player.
other than a player, the only other coaching experience he had was as an assistant with Lindy Ruff in his last couple of years. Other than that, he had no NHL or real hockey management experience coming into this team,
Yeah.
which again is a wild thing to hire on. I mean, at least just looking at Yarmo's resume here, we already talked about the Blue Jackets here. He was GM for a couple different teams out in Finland, where he's from, in their top league over there. Um, and he also assisted on both the last two Finnish Olympic team rosters, putting those
Hmm.
together, including the one in 2014 in Sochi, with the last one the NHL went to. Which that's probably something we should talk about later too, is the Olympics. But anyway, back to Yarmo here. Um, let's be honest. He had a stint with the Senators too, where he was helped in getting big names such as Marion Hossa, Martin Havlat, and our own Ottawa Brawl legend Ray Emery. And then also
Rest in
he was
peace.
big in getting Alex Petrangelo, TJ Oshie, Patrick Berlin, David Prine, and David Backes all in St. Louis, getting all those guys there. I mean, just look at what he's done for some of these other teams. I think this is it was a move that was waiting to happen. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, and this is finally you can look at this as a good step in the right direction for the Sabres. And they're not having a bad year.
100%.
They're not having a
No,
bad
they're
year.
not. It's a very
They're
middle
having
ground.
another one of their mid years, right? They're having another one of those, hey, we'll miss the playoffs by 3 points years. And as close as the Atlantic is, that's an okay position to be in right now. The Atlantic
Yeah,
is separated by 10 points from first in the or first in the division down to last in division. It's about 10 points. So it's not something to super fret about. I think that the writing was on the wall this summer, and they were just going to make sure that Yarmo was the guy. And they made the move. And I think it's an okay move.
and I think the even if you weren't going to fire a GM in the summer, which I think we both can agree would be the best time to bring in a new general manager, maybe either
Mm,
well, I'd say just
I'd make the
after the end of the
argument.
season, give him enough time to
No,
scout for his draft
I give them right after the trade deadline.
right
I
after the
think
trade.
that is,
Okay,
yeah, right after the trade deadline, because then you have the team that you're going to go into next year with, but it still gives you ample time to scout or talk to people, talk to your scouts on who to draft for that upcoming season, along with think about, okay, who's going to be the free agents this year and what can we do to try and get them come July 1st. So
no,
I, I
of
think
course,
that
yeah.
is I think that is the best time. I mean, I don't think this is a bad time because now Yarmo can hopefully make an impact for the Sabres come trade deadline time. And maybe try and propel themselves into a playoff spot because it's doable this year.
No, it
There is
100%
no
is like you
one
said with the
clear
East.
winner
Yeah,
in the East.
no,
I
and
mean,
that's
in
surprising
the
seeing
West,
who's in there.
right? And in the West right now, it's kind of the same. You don't really have that true top dog, and you have San Jose in a playoff spot right now.
I know it's I
Who expected that,
I mean
right?
who expected the Sabres to whoop Edmonton twice this year?
Well, I did. I think I'm Skinner, but
Well, I mean you can't put that all in Skinner. I mean there was a couple real shit giveaways in that game that led
yeah,
to a few
well,
goals. But anyway, besides the point,
you can't rely on two people.
no, you can't. And that's the like look at the teams that have won the last couple. Well, I'd say the last couple of years. Let's just get right to the chase. Look at the Florida Panthers the last couple of years. They probably the best depth team this league has seen in a while. I mean, the Sabres single-handedly built that roster for them. I mean,
Yeah.
unstoppable for second. Probably, I give them 3.5 unstoppable forward lines
Hmm.
there, and that's insane to say. But where I was getting at with that whole GM transition, I actually love the timing of this move because you're coming back from a West Coast swing. It's middle of the year, like you said. You still have plenty of time, considering the division you're in, to make a move for the playoffs and make them start getting ready for the trade deadline there. And also, there's a 5 day break between games. Get him in.
Right.
Obviously, he's already familiar with the team, but get get him in to talk with the players and tell them, here's what I want to see going forward to the
Hmm.
trade deadline, and here's what we plan on doing and where we want to be by the trade deadline.
Yeah, you still got about a month and a half till trade deadline. You've got the Olympic break within there. I think it's go time for the Sabres, and the true test is how do they respond to this upcoming Thursday.
And it's going to be. I think it's a great matchup for that. You're not getting one of the top teams in the league. You're getting the Flyers. And we've seen them against, I'd say bottom tier teams. Even though I wouldn't necessarily put the Flyers as a bottom tier team, but they're low middle, I'd say. But still, the Sabres have not been good against lower end teams this year. They have
Mhm.
the Sabres disease of tending to play down to their opponent.
Right. And it's obvious to you and I and some of the listeners, but I moved away. I am no longer a part of the Rubber Duckies. I live in spirit, and I live in the mind of Palm Isle as we play against them. But yeah, I moved away, and I had the opportunity to see you last week, and we
We
had
had
a
fun,
very
very fun time.
very adventurous time together, and um, yeah, it's crazy how quick life changes, right?
For
You
sure. I
know,
mean, you made this big change. We talked the last episode. Obviously, you weren't here, but I started a new job back in March last year, and that was kind of that break point for the podcast.
right,
You got a new job, had to move back up north. I got this new job, had to focus a lot on that during my training. So,
right.
we're back. We're both kind of settled in now. So hopefully we can bring this back and start at least on a more regular basis
On a
than
more regular
what
basis, right?
we've
Like,
seen. Maybe not every week like we have been in the past, but at
obviously,
least yeah.
right. With your profession, it's a little more when you're working, but it's not as consistent, right?
It's not at all. I'm getting a weekend off every 6 weeks now, so you
Right.
never
So
really know
it's
what I'm gonna get.
right. And with mine, I'm on call, 24/7, and that is so annoying. And late nights and early mornings, and it's weird transitioning into adulthood where we
Of
have responsibilities and we can't just be degenerates, right? Like we can't
well,
just
I mean, not extreme degenerates. I mean, just look
uh,
at last week. Look at last week.
fair point. I mean, but even in those moments, we knew when it was time. And where I
Yeah,
think
very
2 years ago, I don't think we would have called it.
No, we would have been dragged out of the casino
Yeah.
easily.
It's such a transition to where like I even in my most intoxicated state now know that it's time, where you have seen me at my worst. It's never time back then.
I don't think it was never time for a Wolverine mask.
Oh, yeah. Oof. I mean, and I come think that was only what, a year ago?
That's no, that was almost a year and a half now.
Is it? That was
Yeah,
it's
almost
just
a year
crazy
and a
how
half.
quick
Yeah,
how quick life changes, and how you have to make decisions for yourself, and make decisions for your future, your hopeful future family, right? and set yourself up in a position to where, unfortunately, you and I are never going to make it pro hockey, right? I think we both still
I
have that
let's
dream.
be honest, I ruled that out a while ago though. But
Yeah.
pro podcasting still on the table for us. It's
Yes,
still
it
very
is.
new.
There's always an opportunity. So
Uh,
we should
exactly.
take the step forward. Speaking of new people and new places, Quinn
Quentin
Hughes.
Hughes. Exactly. I mean, I was over at Flynn's on Friday. We were waiting for a couple of the rest of our party to show before we made a little hike across the border there. And
Mhm.
we're sitting there and we're scrolling Twitter, and all of a sudden my notifications start going off the charts. So, like as you know, as most of our listeners know, I work for the radio station in college, and while I worked there, I turned my notifications on for almost every sports journalist in the nation, and specifically in the Buffalo area, to try to get some of that. Um, try to get ahead of some of the news. So I know Donnie
Be a
Granado
little
got,
be a
yeah,
little
exactly.
insider.
Yeah, like I got Donnie Granado got sick one time, and I saw that on Twitter. I was the one that broke it in the Rochester area on my morning show. 3 minutes after I saw it, like I had a
Right.
sports update at 7:30 in the morning. I saw the update at 7:27. So like that's my claim to fame. Anyway, but sitting there, Elliot Friedman pops up, and we see Quinn Hughes is going to Minnesota, and we're freaking out. Like, what does this mean for the Central Division? I mean, Billy Guerin is an absolute god in Minnesota now, and it's just an insane move.
Yeah, and I think it's something that Quinn wanted. He wasn't happy where he was, although he was a captain of a team. I saw a video today, Eck on YouTube, and he made a great point. I think it was the first time I've ever seen Quinn Hughes smile outside of an advertisement.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. I mean, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall. Kind of the same thing with Kevin Adams. I mean, it was just a matter of not if, of more of when Quinn Hughes was going to get out of Vancouver, because he all but said he wasn't going to re-sign there anyway in 2 years. So at this point, it was more, let's move him on, see what we could get for him, rather than just straight up losing him in free agency for Vancouver.
And they have a good package back. I mean,
I
Bouillon was
mean,
going to
I thought it
be.
was an amazing package back, to be honest. I thought,
I think it was a very fair trade. Quinn
I
didn't want to be there. Give Vancouver some talent for the future. Unfortunately for Vancouver, they're not going to be good again for a while, and they've dealt away a lot of their top people, including two captains within the last 3 years. You
easy
had
less than that. I'd say 2 years.
the who was the Islanders?
JT Miller. No, not JT Miller.
No, JT
Jesus,
Miller got traded to the Rangers.
that's right.
Um,
Oh my god. Oh.
Not Brock Besser, the other one.
Why can't I think of his name? Okay, maybe that professional podcasting is out the door now with this, but
Well,
we can
doesn't
rename
mean
it.
we can talk about it, but we both
Um,
know who we're talking about. The
yeah, I
listeners
just
know
can't.
who we're talking about. We can't remember it. We'll remember it tomorrow at some point, random without our day when we're doing our day job.
There's a random text comes in middle. I'm in the middle of something. Pops up. There's the name.
Yeah.
But
But
moving
I
on.
think this is good for Quinn Hughes. I think it's good for Billy Guerin because he's going to have Brock Faber and Quinn Hughes together doing
I mean,
top
just
line
think of that
minutes.
about that power play.
Think about that. Think about Team USA. Think about the chemistry they're going to
We'll
develop.
we'll we'll get to the Olympics in a second. It's
I'm
going
just
to be
saying, think
insane, but
about it,
we'll get to the
bro.
Olympics in a
Think
second.
about it. It's big. It's big for Team USA. Hey, building that chemistry, go against that top line of defensemen in Makar and Taves. It's good. It's good. It's good for the game. It's good for USA hockey.
Well, again, let's go back to that package that Vancouver got. Marco Rossi, Zev Boyum, and a couple picks. I've seen a lot of people say it's a very fair trade. I think it's a fair trade. However, I've seen a couple people say that Minnesota got fleeced out of this trade, because you got to think that Quinn Hughes is not going to spend more than the what's remaining on his contract, which I believe is about a year and a half in Minnesota.
You can't make that assumption that they got fleeced until the summer if Minnesota makes it far in the playoffs and win the cup.
Exactly. I agree with you. Like I said, I think it's a fair trade. But let's just think about Quinn Hughes' future, and we talk about that. I 100% believe, and I know we none of us know them personally, but Pasha over at Spit and Chicklets, um, I think he's going to go to. I think he's going to sign in New Jersey. I believe he wants to go play with his brothers.
I don't think he will because I think it'll put a dampen on his youngest. I think it'll be a put a dampen on Luke,
See, I think the opposite. I think it will actually. I
elevate him.
think. I think it will elevate him, but also I think New Jersey is petty enough where they'll keep Luke on the main roster just so he can play with the three brothers for the content purposes rather than the actual hockey and team purposes. However, I think they'll see something in him there playing with his brother that would elevate him and force them to keep him on the roster.
Potentially.
That's my theory. That's my theory.
Potentially. Has there ever been a time in the NHL where three brothers have played together?
I mean, wasn't in the NHL, and it wasn't three brothers, but Gordy, Mark, and Martin Howe. I believe the third brother was
That's
brother.
Gordy's two sons
I know, but that they all played together in the WHA with Houston.
and the NHL with Hartford.
Oh, they were all three were in Hartford. My bad. I didn't think they were still together in Hartford.
Now, do we count the Hanson brothers?
You said NHL. We're talking federal league. Sure, I'll throw them in the federal league for you, but I mean, I'd rather go play D3 hockey and then hang them up at 4 years like go play in the federal. To be honest with you,
Imagine that Ovi retires at the end of this year and just goes plays in
good
the Fed.
lord, bro, dude, he go back to the second tier KHL. That's basically
Nah,
the Fed.
he'll play in the first tier KHL if he wanted to. He'll play there.
Dude, they're gonna send him
He's
to Kunlun with Kevin Adams.
he's
Go
Putin's
play.
boy.
Go play in China.
Nah, he'll play for Moscow. He'll play for
Oh,
the Red Army
100%.
team.
You sure? I think he'll go to St. Petersburg if he goes back.
Nah, he'll play for Moscow.
Well, anyway, but do you watch a lot of KHL hockey?
None.
Dude, I started following him on Twitter just for like
Yeah, it's
just
because they
cause,
play. They play at
bro.
the times you work.
I well, dude, it's the same thing as like the other day or over the summer. I had overtime and I was on midnights. We threw Korean baseball on TV. It was the only thing on. I mean,
Yeah.
2 a.m. on a Tuesday. What else are you gonna watch then? Korean baseball.
I'm already past my bedtime right now. I gotta be up in 4 hours.
All right, so finally, let's switch it over to the Olympics. Um, Obviously, everyone's super excited. The NHL's finally going back. Now, the big question is obviously the arena. Now, whoever decided to put Italian contractors in charge of scheduling should be fired on the spot, probably taken out back and shot. But that's besides the point. Um, how do you feel about the smaller ice surface? Because obviously this has been a very big point of controversy with the Olympics this year.
I don't think it's enough to make a difference. I think people
I
just
don't
want
I
to get
don't either, but
I think people want clicks. They're just gonna take it out of the neutral zone. That's just the way it's gonna go.
you got to
It's
think it
not gonna
back.
make that much of a difference.
You got to think back to old school hockey too, and some of the better places to play back in the day, including Boston Gardens and the Odd in Buffalo. Those were all smaller surfaces too. They were only about one 185 at the most long. Obviously, it's a much different game back then than it is now, but um, I think it's just going to be weird for them going over and not seeing an Olympic rink because I always found it interesting watching the Olympics with the NHL guys when they go to the wider rinks.
How big the rink was, yeah.
Dude, I think it makes the game so much more entertaining just because it picks the pace up a lot more.
Yeah. No, I think that guys like McDavid and those guys will struggle a little more. That'll be good for us, but you'll have your hard hitting guys like the Kachuk boys, and I think it'll work out good. You just hope Tom Wilson doesn't make Team Canada.
And that'd be an issue. But let's talk a little bit about Team USA as you hinted to during Quinn Hughes. Um, and as you just said there, if they can get bodies on Canada, I think US can make an easy run at a gold medal here. but they need to
I
play their
agree.
game, and that's going to be fast, physical, and shoot the puck. 30 goals all day long for them.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think Team USA has a good chance. I mean, there's the bigger issue I have is that they get too focused on Canada, where
Oh,
they're
100%.
not focused about the other rounds, the other round robin games, and they need to focus on getting their wins and ending up in that gold medal game because if it's not USA Canada, I'll be surprised. Um, and you just need to seal the deal, unlike what they did in Four Nations. I think Four Nations was a perfect precursor to what the Olympics has and what the Olympics will bring. And now it's on the world stage, so you need to go out and prove it. Yes, USA and Canada are number one and number two. In whatever category you want to put them, one of those two teams are in each spot. And you need to go out there and show the world why you're there and why you deserve to be ranked one, two.
Now, as we talk about this, you said you got to earn. Obviously, hockey is that sport where you got to earn everything. You can't. They won't let you get by without earning an inch of that ice. Looking at the groups for the Olympics, they're already out. Obviously, qualifications finished a long time ago. For Group A, this would be Canada's group. It'd be Canada, Switzerland, Czechia, and then, as we discussed almost a year ago now on our podcast, France making their first appearance in however many Olympics. I'm not exactly sure.
Mhm.
Arguably taking the spot of Russia. Obviously, they're not. They still don't qualify because they're not. They're still technically banned from a international competition. So France is going to roll into that spot, and they're going to be heading up the rear in Group A. Let's be honest, because that's going to be a tough group. Um,
Yep.
Honestly, I and now I think Latvia is going to give them a lot of trouble because I think Latvia is the second best team in this group. USA
Mhm.
group is not that strong. They're going to be in Group C. They're going to have Germany, Latvia, and Denmark. Um, it's going to be easy for them to look by a couple of those teams, specifically Denmark, because I feel like they could get in a little bit of a trap game there with them. Um,
Denmark's got good goaltending.
they've always had good goaltending. Latvia, I think, is going to be a kind of a sleeper team, and you never really know what you're getting with Germany. Obviously, you got to worry about Draisaitl, um, Tim Stutzel, uh, and a couple other guys, but Germany's going to be a little bit of a sleeper in that group as well.
Could
Finally,
be.
Group B. Finally, Group B. Um, I don't want to say the weakest of all the groups, but I think it's going to be the weakest of the groups. I've Finland and Sweden, along with Slovakia, and then Italy as a host nation.
Yeah, well, Italy's weak.
I mean, they're obviously they get the
But
automatic qualification for being the host team. Host team.
right. Yeah, I honestly that might be the strongest division. If I were to think about internal competition, other than Italy, I think that I mean you got two European powerhouses, right? Slovakia is not bad. They got a lot
No,
of
they're
young
not.
talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they won World Juniors a couple years ago. Like, you gotta, I don't know. I'd say that's probably the strongest division. I think the USA and Canada have it out good.
I think. I guess we'll have to wait until February to see.
Yeah, I mean,
All
absolutely. I
all we
mean,
know, yeah, all we know is it's going to be. I'm going to have a lot of fun watching the games this year. Um,
yeah,
and
it's gonna be
not
a lot
even
of
that,
games on at work.
not even just the U.S. games. I like watching the international, like just watching the international games, see how those other, not even Canada either. I mean, we know how the U.S. and Canada play. We see them all the time. Well,
Right.
getting those low level games, like give me a France Italy game or a Denmark and France. Those are going to be some. Obviously, we probably won't see that until um, the actual play-in rounds, but those would be some interesting games to watch because you're going to see a lot
And
of not just guys not in the NHL, but there's going to be a call. There's going to be that one like 16-year-old on one of those teams, just like the World Juniors, or one of those 18-year-olds on one of those teams that's just going to come out flying, and all of a sudden they're going to shoot up the draft roster for next year.
absolutely. And one thing I want to also mention, USA swept Canada in the rivalry series this year
No,
for
dude,
women's hockey.
I was so mad. There was a game in Buffalo this year. I was so mad. I was working, couldn't go. So mad. I wanted to go, dude.
But
Squanto, big fan of Hillary Knight. Even though he's half Canadian, he cheers for Canada openly. Big fan of Hillary Knight. Why? Don't ask me.
I think I know.
I think I have a pretty good theory.
But
But
no, this might be the first time ever that USA has swept Canada in the rivalry series.
I think it is. I think I saw. I think it is. I'm not exactly sure though.
And USA has a lot of young talent. They're going to be good for time to come.
No, I remember it was not China, not Beijing. What was before the one in South Korea? I remember staying up super late. It's like 2 in the morning. U.S.
Pyeongchang.
can yeah, Pyeongchang watching U.S. Canada women in the gold medal game. Dude, that was if you want to go back and watch a good hockey game, that game was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I want to
I
say
was
it went
living
to a
in.
shootout. Oh my god.
Yeah, I went to Buff. I was living in Buffalo at the time. I had just moved in. So I just moved to Buffalo 4 years ago. Phew. But yeah, no, it's exciting. But what do we have for rubber duckies this week, Peter?
We got the Arctic Foxes. It's a big team of D3 and ACHA guys, so they're probably going to get their asses whooped. I'm not going to be there, however. I don't have to work, but I only get 10 Sabre games a year, and I got one of my Sabre games on Thursday, so I'm not going to pass it up. Um,
Mhm.
but I do not see anything good coming for the Duckies this week. However, we got two really impressive wins in the last couple weeks. Last week specifically took down Buffalo Fire 6-4. And
Nice.
you remember a couple of the games we played against them when you were still on the team. They're a tough team to play against, very physical. Um, but we held our own. Murr played absolutely outstanding as he usually does. I mean, I thought Kevin Adams was going to pull him up, but now I got to start tailoring my scouting reports towards Jarmo. Um, but you never know. It's gonna. I think it's gonna be an interesting game this week. But Duckies sit in middle of the pack as we usually do.
Was Mr. Wozniak suspended?
So he said he won the fight. However, suspiciously, live barn was not working, and the only other person to see the fight, at least part of it, was Mecca. How reliable his reports may be are still up in the air. Um, yeah, but he got dropped in the fight. He is out. They said 3 games. Now there was another controversy on whether that meant 3 Ice Wolves games or the Duckies were included or 3 games between both of those teams. So I stay out of that stuff. That's a question
Mhm.
for our esteemed general manager Kyle Flynn.
Or the commissioner?
Okay, yeah, sure, because they'll text him back.
But so no, exciting stuff, man, and I'm glad you're doing well. It's a weird time.
It,
It's definitely a
it
weird
always is,
time.
but
To
goes around comes around. Obviously, I think I discussed this. I can't remember if I discussed this on Duckies not. I know I told you about it. Um, I put the Duckies in for the 11-day power play. Now, if we're going to get accepted, that's a completely separate story. But if we do, obviously there'll be something. I'm going to have a special podcast just for the 11-day power play, kind of explain what that is. There's going to be stuff popping up on our Instagram, and obviously all the Duckies are invited. All the Ice Wolves are also invited. You're invited. If you want to bring someone, fuck, if they want to play, they're invited. I really don't care at this point. The more bodies, the less skating we got to do for 4 hours. So I like it.
right?
Um, but yeah, there will be updates to that as it comes along. We should find out about Marchish, early March. They said maybe late February, but interesting times to be a Ducky
Or former Ducky.
or a former Ducky. Well, on that terrible disappointment, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thank you, Seamus, for coming back and joining us from beyond the grave, um, or as other people like to call it, Plattsburgh. Um, anyway, catch us on Instagram, Rubber Duckies Hockey. Um, honestly, I don't post on Twitter anymore, so we'll just omit that. And you
YouTube.
technically still have the TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, that's dead.
Yeah, that's
TikTok's
probably
dead.
that's better than our Twitter. Um, yeah, you can catch us on YouTube as well. Rubber Duckies Hockey. We're gonna start posting all the duck ponds we do. We'll have video and audio for you as well. And I'm hoping to get a couple. Obviously, our coverage hasn't been the best it can be. Past weeks, obviously, I'm super busy. I can't sit down and spend an hour and a half editing just those minute 30 packages I used to do, it took me almost an hour and a half to edit those. So, might get pieces of interviews, but not the full packages you guys are used to. But any last words from you, Seamus?
Yeah. I just want to say I miss the boys, and hopefully I can get back sometime soon during the week and go to a game. I mean, it's tough because of my work schedule and working 70, 80 hours a week, but I miss the boys, and hopefully I can get back and do a celebrity coach appearance as I used to do for the Ice Wolves. But
I mean, right now, Carl's our celebrity coach at the moment. So not too big of shoes to actually fill though. But
no,
anyway,
I'll yell at the refs.
Okay, yeah, they'll just yell back. Anyway, thank you all for joining us again. Another edition of Duck Pond. Like I said, it's not going to be as frequent as we used to, but hopefully at least monthly now for the Duck Pond. But thank you again for listening, and we'll see you guys all next time.